Today we have Timothy Hogan. He is a distinguished author and lecturer within the Western Mystery School tradition, renowned for its deep knowledge and contributions to spiritual and esoteric studies. A past master in several spiritual traditions, he holds a leadership role in numerous Masonic bodies and Rosicrucian lineages. As a Grand Master of multiple Knights Templar lineages, he also oversees the Templar Collegia, an organization dedicated to the preservation and teaching of Templar wisdom. Timothy has delivered lectures across the globe in both public and private venues, including guest appearances at universities, U.S. embassies, and various international platforms. His expertise has been featured on numerous television programs, podcasts, and radio interviews worldwide. As a prolific author, Timothy Hogan has penned several notable works, including The Alchemical Keys to the Masonic Ritual, The 32 Secret Paths of Solomon, Revelation of the Holy Grail, and Entering the Chain of the Union. This is incredible work that he's done and allowed him to become a best-selling author. Additionally, his articles have appeared in prominent periodicals such as El Initiation and Ariande's Web, Livingstone's Magazine, the New Equinox Journal, the Fraternal Review, the Scottish Rite Journal, and Herodom. Timothy is also known for his involvement in Track 2 diplomatic meetings, engaging with governmental and spiritual leaders to foster dialogue and understanding. And on screen, he is a host of Gaia's Mysteries of the Knights Templar series and a featured expert on Ancient Civilizations Season 6. Timothy Hogan's work continues to inspire and enlighten seekers of spiritual and esoteric wisdom worldwide. All right. It's Billy Carson here, aka Forbidden Knowledge, and I have my great friend Timothy Hogan. Welcome to the show, Timothy.
Great to see you, Billy. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Listen, it's an honor, and this is long overdue to have you on the Forbidden Knowledge podcast. So I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time and get your insights on these amazing topics that we're going to talk about tonight. So thank you for spending the time.
Oh, thanks for having me. I really appreciate everything that you're putting out there, and just the fact to be able to contribute to it in any way is a great honor.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
So today we're going to dive into the topic of 33rd degree masonry, or masonry in general. We're going to dive into the Knights Templar, and we'll dive into some of the Emerald Tablets as well. I think there's a lot of questions out there that people have on top of their head. I've heard a lot of conspiracy theories regarding Freemasonry. And so I really want to dispel some of those false conspiracies or those false theories or ideas of Freemasonry and expose what Freemasonry is, good or bad, light or dark, whatever it is. I don't know all of it. I've read some books over time, but I have never been a Freemason and got into Freemasonry, but you have. And so can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into Freemasonry?
Sure. I started out actually as a young child, as early as 8. I'd been initiated into a tradition that had been started by Freemasons and Templars, and I didn't really know what it was at the time, but it was designed to build moral character and values, good values, become an upright citizen in the world. And it wasn't until I was 18 that I started looking into it more, like, where is this coming from? And I figured out that it was had this strong Masonic connection. And I remember at the time I decided, well, maybe, I want to check out Freemasonry. I want to see if there's something to this. And I was planning on going down to the local lodge, the only one I knew of that was nearby, to meet them and see what that was about. And I remember I was in college at the time, and I was doing laundry at my mom's house. Mm. And I said, "Hey, Mom, do you know anything about Freemasonry?" And she's like, "Yeah, you're both sides of your family are super involved in it." I was like, "What?" I had no clue. Nobody had ever talked about it. Nobody had pushed me towards anything. And I found out that my father had been involved in DMLA, which was a youth organization of Freemasonry. named after Jacques de Molay, who was the Grand Master of the Templars, who was burnt at the stake in 1314. And then, you know, my grandfathers on both sides of my family had been involved, and my great grandfathers, and so on, going all the way back to General Joseph Warren, who was really the father of the American Revolutionary War, and he had initiated Paul Revere into Freemasonry, and he was one of the first. His brother, actually, John Warren, was the first Grand Master of Masons in the forming United States. So I ended up having this really long history of it, and so I got involved in it. So that's kind of my background. Since then, you know, I was initiated through all the degrees, and including in several what are referred to as appendant bodies, and I'm a past master of my personal lodge. I served 2 times as a master, and I'd also served as Master Kadosh in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, where the higher degrees are. So, yeah, I have a lot of experience in it.
Wow, I see. So I got the right guy, okay? Because this is going to be an important podcast. So many times I've seen people comment on my post if I'm giving mathematical calculations based on the structure of a pyramid or a temple or alignments with stars, and it seems like I know all this information. So they'll comment, this guy's a Freemason, but not in a positive way. They comment in a negative way, as if it's something wrong with Freemasonry or Masonry. I've had people ask me, are you into Freemasonry? Are you a Freemason? You know, or sometimes I see posts from things like when Trayvon Martin unfortunately was killed here in Florida by Zimmerman, that his father was a Freemason and his body was a sacrifice and all these things. So can you dispel some of this, or is it real? Sure. What is it that's making people think Freemasonry is dark and evil versus I've known you now for some years and you don't seem like that at all?
No. Well, I'll tell you, Freemasonry does have some strange rituals. And one of them, in particular, the 3rd degree, is largely about you go through a symbolic death, and then they raise you back to life. And it's from the old. It actually goes back to the old rites of Osiris in Egypt. You know, where the candidate, who was usually a priest in Egypt, or a pharaoh. I mean, the pharaoh had to go through it, where he went through a symbolic death and was raised again. But the purpose of the ceremony is for the person to have an out-of-body experience. And the conditions are such that if it's performed right, the candidate will have an out-of-body experience. And once they have that out-of-body experience, they no longer fear death, because they know there's more to them than just their physical body, right? And so once you no longer fear death, you know, you're no longer afraid to go out there and say what needs to be said. I mean, the powers, you know, the archonic forces out there and powers that want to keep people enslaved can't keep that person enslaved anymore. It's like Neo in the Matrix, you know.
Gotcha.
So, you know, as a result, what happens is many Freemasons end up becoming leaders, you know, of several different things. I mean, and because of that, there's kind of a stereotype like, oh, well, they're the ones controlling everything. And really, that's not the case. It's just that, you know, a few good Masons break through every once in a while and get into power positions, but it's only because they're no longer fearing death. And that's really one of the great secrets of Freemasonry. Now, since it's been around for hundreds of years, that's as an institution, that's also allowed them to, you know, start to build money up and capital, you know, as a lodge, and form prominent positions, you know, usually in any town in the United States or any major city, you're going to find Masonic lodges. And And it's just because they've had the time to build up and start to build capital collectively and buy buildings and try to be a force of good in society. I mean, Freemasonry, most people don't know this, but that Freemasonry contributes anywhere between $2 and $3 million a day in charity for this country. And they don't brag about it. They don't talk about it, because it's true charity. They're not trying to be like, oh, look at me giving charity, but they're just trying to help communities, and it goes anywhere from going towards hospitals to take care of children to just protecting the widow and orphan, of in the community, who may need help, and so that's one of the great secrets of Freemasonry too. But that said, I will say, when I went to join Freemasonry, I asked my grandfather about it because he was very actively involved, and he said to me, Tim, I'll tell you this: there are good Masons, and unfortunately, there are a few bad Masons. Mm. But if everybody lived by the tenets of Freemasonry, then all people would be good people. Mm. And I've held that true. I mean, I've never seen anything in Freemasonry that was nefarious or conspiratorial or bad. It may be that there have been a few people, though, who've gone through the Masonic system and because of their own. For example, a controversial figure in Freemasonry is Andrew Jackson. Mm. He was a guy who was a past Grand Master of Freemasonry in Tennessee. And on the one hand, he helped win the War of 1812, against the British. Right. He helped set up the Navy. He did all kinds of great things like that. But on the other hand, he was also responsible for the Trail of Tears, which was certainly not great, So, and part of that was just the politics of the day, that he had to be involved in. I will say, if the only conspiracy that I can absolutely verify that used to exist in this country, in particular in the United States, is that it used to be that you couldn't form a state, like the federal government wouldn't allow a territory to become a state unless there was a Masonic Grand Lodge in that territory. And the only reason for that was because Freemasonry teaches civil order. It teaches how to structure government. It's really set up so that if we were to have a massive cataclysm like we've had in ages in the past, if you've gone through the degrees of Freemasonry, you're given all of the keys to rebuild civilization.
Gotcha.
So if you're in a territory that's kind of wild, if there's a Masonic Grand Lodge in that territory, they at least knew that there was civility and stability and order enough for there to be a Grand Lodge in that territory. So, so pretty much every state in the United States, like I live in Colorado, our Grand Lodge was established in 1765, but we didn't actually become a state until 1865, but we didn't actually become a state until 1876. So and the first Grand Master of Freemasonry in the territory of Colorado ended up becoming the first governor of the new state of Colorado. So that's pretty common. You find that all throughout. But
wow. So like a stabilizing force in different regions of the country, which then allowed them to become collected into the collective of states, basically, because it seemed as if they had stabilized, organized enough, and had enough of a system in place to where they say, okay, we're confident now that this area can be considered part of the United States.
Yeah, and you find that stabilizing influence throughout the world. I mean, a good example of this is most people don't know, but Monrovia, which
Hmm.
has had some problems over the years, but it was established as a country by Freemasons
Mm.
uh, here in the United States, and it was specifically for African Americans in the United States who wanted to go back to Africa and have a
Mm.
stable region.
Mm.
So the uh, particular Prince Hall Freemasonry set up Monrovia as a
Mm.
country for people to go back to, and even in recent years when there's been conflict in that country
Mhm.
and from the two sides bombing each other over there, the one place that neither side will bomb is the Masonic Grand Lodge, because
Wow.
that's what set up the country. And so when people need safety, that's where they go to. They go to the Grand Lodge because they know they won't be bombed there.
Wow.
So
Incredible.
that stability exists across the country or across the world. I mean, Freemasonry does absolutely believe in freedom,
Mm.
and freedom of thought, freedom of assembly, freedom of speech. The freedoms that we find in our Bill of Rights here in the United States is something that 100% Freemasonry believes in.
Mm.
It has to be of your own free will in accord to even become a Freemason.
Mhm.
Um, so Freemasonry has fought for those freedoms for other people
Mm.
all throughout the world, and this is really why, uh, if you were to say, I guess, another conspiracy, I mean, if you go to like all the Latin American countries uh, that were helped to be set up by Freemasons like Simon Bolivar and